Hey guys, today's a mini tea and we're just gonna jump into it. Social media description, along with my second channel, anything else you want to find. Subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment for engagement, and let's just get into it. We're here. James Charles, this is a story that's been kind of like evolving as we speak. Essentially, another TikToker called Charly Jordan had a birthday party at her house, and essentially things got a little bit crazy. A lot of people started showing up that she didn't really invite, just like a bunch of people. There was like a mess outside of her house. Like the gate to her house just had like fake blood all over it, because it was around it was around the time of Halloween, so just like fake blood everywhere. Her like plants were just stamped out, just evened out with the ground. Just like a lot was happening. She was like, there were a lot of people in my house that I didn't know. So at some point, the security that were outside kind of letting people in said, open your followings list. If, now I just look like I've got a bob. Now I just look like a bob. At some point, the security outside was like, get out your followings list. If Charly Jordan follows you, you'll be let in. If Charly Jordan does not follow you, you will not be let in. Which is essentially like, does she know you, does she not? Because if she follows you, then she probably knows you and she probably wants you at this event. People then kind of stuck around. She sat on the like gate that she has. It's like a little concrete gate thing. And she basically said to everyone, I don't care how many followers you have. If I follow you, you're getting in. If I don't follow you, you're not getting in. People still stuck around, ruined her plants, destroyed her gate, that kind of a thing. We then get this TikTok from these two girls who tried to get into the party but were not followed by Charly Jordan, so they left. They film a TikTok that's like, oh, I didn't actually realize that in LA, like if you don't have enough followers, they won't let you into a party, like I didn't realize. And also someone else was really rude, like one of your fave influencers was really rude to us. Then the girl does a follow-up video where she basically says that James Charles was really rude to her, like he showed up a little bit later than them, and they said to him like, oh, if you... they're not letting in people below a certain following or something like that. Which I don't know why you'd say that to James Charles, one of the most followed people on the platform. Of course he's gonna get let in because he's James Charles. Anyway, he apparently goes, oh, thanks, or something like that, and walks off.
I don't think y'all are ready for this because I'm still processing it. Like, I can't believe it really happened. So we went to Charly Jordan's party last night because my friend Michelle has somebody who, like, has in there. So they were already inside whenever we had pulled up. And, like, the way you had to get inside was, like, having somebody inside. So the person wasn't answering. And we were standing outside, and it was a literal fucking madhouse. And then I hear people being like, oh, my God, pull up your Instagrams, pull up your TikToks. Like, we gotta show them to get in. And I, like, sat there, and I was like, this is serious. Like, this isn't a joke that I, like, hear about. Like, what the fuck? So me and all my friends just decided it's not worth the hassle. Nobody's answering. Let's just dip, because, like, we could tell Charly was even getting mad by, like, standing outside. So we start leaving. I see someone... it's an influencer, beauty influencer who's canceled right now. His name's Marls. Anyway, so I see him and I'm like, yo, it's fucking crazy out there. Like, I'm just letting you know it's not worth it. And he like looks at me up and down and was like, okay, thanks.
James Charles then comments under that video and says, that's not how I remember the events of this story. I said thank you, like I'm not sure what else you want me to say. Charly Jordan then posts a few posts about this, just explaining stuff. She also posted a TikTok saying basically what I just told you guys. It's not about how many followers you have, it's about do I know you or not. So even if they had 5 followers, but one of those 5 followers was Charly Jordan, they would have been let in. But if you're on 5 million and Charly Jordan doesn't follow you, she wouldn't have let you in.
So some girl who couldn't get into my party made a video that's going viral about how I wasn't letting people into my party because they didn't have enough followers. So let me reenact what actually happened. This is the gate to get in. It's one door. If we want to take a step through my door, we can see all the damage that everybody caused by breaking my lights and plants. Not only that, but people were trying to jump over my wall, so there's blood and paint and shit all over my walls, which I am personally having to pay for. Me and all my security were standing right here. There were so many people out here that my security said, pull up your following, and if Charly follows you, we'll let you in. Everybody misinterpreted that and just started pulling out their phones and showing their follower count for no reason. I was sitting right up on this wall and I literally stood up and screamed at everyone, I don't give a how many followers you have. If I don't know you, I'm not letting you in. And even after I said that, nobody left and they continued to stay here and my The fact that I even have to defend myself against my own party is kind of ridiculous, but yeah.
That was the whole event, which I think just arguing over someone not letting you into their house is strange to me. Like, normally I'm against, you know, the LA influencer culture. Like, I'm usually really against it. I'm like, oh, it's very like superficial and just like a lot going on. But you cannot argue about the reasoning behind someone not inviting you into their house because it's their house. Like, they can make up any rule they want because it's their house. Like, if she literally said anyone between the followings of 25,000 and 26,000 is not being let in for whatever reason, then if you're on 25,552, you're not being let in. And like, you can argue all you want, but it's her house. And if she says like, I'm not letting you in, I'm not letting you in. Like, if I had a party going on and someone found out from someone that had a party going on, they just showed up and demanded entry, that's a bit strange. It's a bit weird. It wasn't like an open event. It was like probably invite only, but people probably found out because, you know, word spreads. I just find it really weird demanding that someone lets you into their house. It wasn't like she was having an event at a club or like at a restaurant where it's open to everyone. It was in her personal space, in her house. She said, if I know you're getting in, if I don't know you're not. Getting upset about it is really strange to me because it's just literally demanding that someone lets you into their very personal space. Like, this is a very private, your house is probably as private as it gets. Or as personal as it gets. Like, let's not demand that people let us into their house just because we have 100,000 followers or something like that. James Charles being rude, that's apparently a separate issue. So apparently James Charles DM'd that girl and they like resolved it in DMs, and apparently that's fine now. But yeah, there's just like a lot going on there, and I'm not, like, I don't really care. I don't really know who Charly Jordan is, but I just think if she doesn't want to let people into her house, she doesn't have to, regardless of the reasoning. It's her house, her space, you know, she's allowed to do whatever she wants. Do I think LA influencer culture is weird? Yes, a lot of the time. But if what she's saying is true, which is it wasn't about the quantity of followers, it was about do I know you're not, then that makes absolute sense. Was James Charles rude? Probably. Let's just say how it is. He was probably rude, and that's that. Another thing is he did a Squid Games collab on Brett Rivera's channel with a few other influencers, and H3 called them out. I was basically like, why are you guys still supporting James Charles of all people? Like, you're still inviting him onto his channel after everything he did. You basically give him like the stamp of approval, which then makes the victims look like they're lying, because if a bunch of big names are still in support of someone, that doesn't exactly make the victims look like they're telling the truth. So that was happening. Then we also have Trisha Paytas, who recently did a lot. So Trisha Paytas is doing like manifesting and affirmations, meditation videos, and has now decided that they're going to be Buddhist, which is just yet another thing that Trisha's like, oh my god, I love this, I'm going to become this now. Like, it's just, and it's usually okay if it's like an obsession that's like a TV show or a movie or something that's very non-personal to people. But when you're picking religions and cultures and mental illnesses, at that point you're just mocking. At that point we're just mocking people. Like, let's not make someone's culture or religion or mental illness our personality. When it's, like I said, like recently it was, you know, Twilight or different things that Trish is really into, or like working in Domino's, and just like lots of different things that, you know, Trish will find an obsession, really delve deep into it, buy all the merchandise, you know, do the whole thing. And it's good when it's just, it's okay when it's just like a movie, like I said. But when it's, oh, I'm going to now be Buddhist, without looking into it, just posting a bunch of videos and then going, oh, actually I'm not anymore. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just not okay. It's just not okay. Like, it's just not right. Anyway, they recently went to a few temples and bought like merchandise, which is a statement that I didn't think I'd have to say. They're treating it like it's literally Disneyland. They're like, oh, let's just visit this temple and buy a few hoodies. And like, they're buying statues of, you know, important figures in Buddhism, but they're like, I can't tell you who this is. Like, I don't know. And they're just like, it's just very, like, let's educate ourselves before we do any of this and like spread misinformation on the internet. I think it's just really strange. It's really odd. So people are having a go at Trisha with this, which makes complete sense to me. Complete sense. There's also another thing of Trisha Paytas saying that they want a baby, and that then they go into like a conversation about family channels and how they exploit kids, which makes me think that if they have a baby, they're not going to show it on the internet. But then you never know. And also, Trish was talking about a family that dresses up and like cosplays in different outfits, usually Disney princesses and stuff like that, and how they make the kid not the main character. And apparently this is a dig at the LeBron family, who apparently like the mum will be the princess, the dad will be the prince, and then they'll be like a frog or like a side character. And Trish basically said that if they dressed up as whatever, the kid would always play the main character. So if it was a girl, it would be like the princess and get the main role, whatever the main role is in that movie, whether it's prince, princess, whatever, you know, the main role is. And Moses then goes on and drags Family Channel some more, says, you know, how the exploitation is really, you know, difficult to watch and how it's just not something that they agree with, which makes me think if they had a baby, they wouldn't show it on the internet. But then there was like so many mixed, it was so mixed during the video. They were like, oh, like we wouldn't do this, but like if we did, we'd make the kid the main character. And it was just really strange to me. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did show the kid, because Trish does a lot of talking and then does a lot of doing in the other direction. Like the next story that I'm going to get into, which is Trisha Paytas recently obviously had that scandal with showing dining tables, which were made out of rabbit fur, which a lot of people had a go at them for. And then Trish literally a day later posts a video where they go vegan. Obviously just a video saying, I'm going vegan now because that's what apparently is like really popular in Buddhism. It's to go vegan, plant-based, you know, not eat meat, not consume any meat products. But then literally like a few days before this video, they had like a whole thing of KFC, but just ate the skin, which they're saying is like vegan, but it's not, because you're still contributing money to meat. Like just because you buy the meat and don't eat it doesn't mean you didn't contribute financially to it. So like, makes no sense to me. Also, the skin touched the meat, and by ripping off the skin is part of the chicken. Like the skin isn't just the crumbs, the skin is crumbs on the skin. So the skin is still part of the chicken. This is still part of me. Oh, that looked really weird. This is still part of me. If I eat this, it's still me. You know? I don't really get it. Anyway, I'm not trying to be a weirdo vegetarian. Like I'm just saying, like, I know there's no rules in life, but like there are some rules of being vegetarian, which is like don't eat the skin of the meat because it's still part of the meat. Anyway, then Trish posts like this picture of their fridge and it's like, oh, just a vegan fridge, but there's like butter everywhere and like eggs. And I'm like, it's not vegan. It's not vegan. And I feel like this was used as a way to troll off the back of the controversy, which is what Trish does a lot, which is Trish was really called out for the rabbit fur stuff, used that momentum to push this vegan video and continue getting the outrage of people being like, that's not vegan. You know what I mean? I think it's just all for views, which is just like typical Trisha Paytas stuff. But then H3 also posts a video where he talks about Trish a little bit, talks about their financial situation, which was like a little bit ago. H3 mentioned how he's concerned about Trisha's finances because they're spending a lot of money that they don't have right now. Like they're not making enough money to cover the expenses. And Trish actually claps back in a different video and says that they believe in financial affirmations, but what they also do, they believe that if you spend money, the money will come back to you. So Trish basically confirmed that they have no savings. Whatever they make, they spend. Because apparently if you don't spend the money won't come back to you. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, so if homeless people had just spent money, they wouldn't be homeless. Like that's the comparison people are making. They're like, how does that make any sense? You can't say that if you spend all your money, you're going to get the money back. Because that just breeds... That's just really bad financial advice. And yeah, people are basically just like, oh, so you're telling me like if a homeless person spent a bunch of money, they wouldn't be homeless? It just makes no sense. No, you don't have to spend all your money to get money. That doesn't make any sense, okay? But Trisha's basically like, I've done a lot of like financial affirmations, so I'm fine. Basically, don't worry about me. H3 also mentions how he hasn't been in contact with Trish or Moses this whole time and that he's not attending the wedding, which is... It's a lot. It's a lot going on here. Like to go from them being basically besties to now not even talking and not attending the wedding is wild to me. But that will be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, anything, comment down below, and subscribe to these videos every time something happens. So hit that bell. You'll be notified when that's happening. Social media links in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.